Consulting resume, the easiest and also the hardest part of the whole management consulting recruiting process. It's easy because you have all the time in the world to do that one pager, but it's also the hardest part ever. Statistically, this round eliminates more candidates than any others, both in absolute number and percentage of applicants. It's also a very non-interactive platform. You can only submit a paper and hope for the best, and not much else you can do about it. What if the screeners don't see it the way you describe? What if there's a brutal mistake in there? What if yours doesn't stand out as you thought it would? There's just a lot of anxiety surrounding this matter. But let's look on the bright side. You found this video. Hi. My name is Kim Tran, a former McKinsey resume screener and the founder of Management Consulting Prep. So what is a typical vibe inside the screening room? Busy, boring, and tired. We screeners have to work with a lot of resumes, and this is on top of the already heavy workload we do as junior consultants at the time. Resume screening is not high on our priority list. There's no KPI, no bonus, no nothing for this. This is just something we do as a goodwill for the office. The real reward only happens when we come across a really good resume, and for some reason, we can sniff it out pretty quickly. If you ask, most screeners will tell you that he or she spends about 60 to 90 seconds per resume, but the honest number is much lower. After roughly 10 seconds, we have already formed an opinion about a resume, and depending on the situation, we may spend another 30-something seconds to confirm our thoughts. Over 80% of the time, the initial impression ends up being the final decision. During those 10 seconds, there are certain areas that we look into more closely. Those areas you must rock. Later in this video, I will show you the heat map of them. Now, let's talk about substance. Management consulting resume versus a normal resume. So what's special about a consulting resume? Will it work like any other ordinary resume? Well, at first glance, a consulting resume is just like any other resume. You have typical main sections of personal information, education, work experience, etc. But when we look closer, there is a world of difference. While a normal resume is a quick summary of your professional life, consulting resumes are a celebration of consulting skill sets and qualifications. Every word, every phrase, every bullet in there must scream consulting. If you know the consulting industry along with its culture, naturally every detail of your resume will look consulting without you even thinking about it. Watch this video series to learn more about the consulting culture. Here, though, I'll conceptualize for you some of those cultural features manifest in a consulting resume. Okay, number 1, normal resumes focus on the input. Consulting resumes focus on the output. An input way of thinking would be, I went grocery shopping today. An output way of thinking would be, I ensured that the whole family will have enough food for the whole week. Consulting people work hard and make huge inputs every day, but all they care about is the outputs. The input is only meaningful when it leads to an output of some sort. Not only with big tasks, but even each trivial work task every day also reflects this way of thinking too. So every bullet in your resume must also reflect this. There should always be a result, no matter how trivial a task is. Even if you just flip burgers at a local restaurant, you should tell screeners about your record-breaking speed or your perfect customer satisfaction rate. If you learned a new language, don't just say, learned a new language. Say, learned a new language and cut communication time with native frontline customers in half. Number 2, normal resumes are vague, consulting resumes are specific. Let's say I just competed in a paragliding World Cup event. A vague way of bragging would be, I finished strong. A consultant in that situation would say, I ranked number 3 out of 90 pilots in the competition. Effective people always talk with specifics. Consulting people are shaped to be specific, and they are trained to ask follow-up questions every time encountering non-specific communications. So if you write vaguely in your resume, we screeners will notice really quickly. To be specific, it's much more about just adding numbers. Good impressions can come from qualitative descriptions too. You will see many examples of that on the Resume Toolkits program. Number 3, normal resumes show off explicitly, consulting resumes whisper implicitly. This is hard to believe at first. The common thinking is that the more effective you are, the more direct your communication should be, right? And in many cases, that is true. But when talking about yourself, the way to go is with objective information. Consultants would much rather provide concrete facts and data which subtly whisper, "Hey, I am good," than saying it out loud in a direct way. For example, we don't write, "had excellent negotiation skills." We write, "negotiated the biggest deal in company history resulting in ... Interesting, huh? Specific, but implicit. Number 4, normal resumes are flexible, consulting resumes are cold and boring. Here's another interesting fact. We want to stand out in terms of content as much as we can, but on the other hand, we want to stand out in terms of formatting and presentation as little as possible. This is somewhat similar to how we dress for interviews, as conservative as possible. Conservative here will be perceived as professional. You should strictly follow the standard format: one page, black and white, traditional font size, ordinary spacing. Just use it. The easiest way to get eliminated is to use creative formats. We do like creative people, but you also have to show your creativity through text, not through colors or graphics. Later in this video, we will talk about the standard format that McKinsey, Bain, and BCG accept. You can download it for free from our website. Find the link in the description below. Number 5, normal resumes are forgiving. Consulting resumes strive for perfection. Consultants spend countless hours perfecting their PowerPoint slides to the finest details. Every space, every dot, every word is perfect. It's expected. So if you want to be a consultant and all you can show is the one-page resume, chances are that any small mistakes will be detected and the thing will get discarded very quickly. I have a list of autofill mistakes you should absolutely avoid in your resume. It's rather long to include here in this video, so please find the free link in the description. Overall template. Like any other resume, consulting versions also feature the same main sections of personal information, education, work experience, optional, extraordinary, or leadership activity, and others. The optimal space distribution in percentage are 5, 15, 60, 15, 5. And all in all, everything should fit exactly onto one page. You can play around with font size and spacing a little bit to make yours fit exactly to one page. When you have extra space, increase the font size, increase spacing, and decrease the margin, and vice versa. But remember, there is a limit to how much you can do this. For bigger adjustments, it's just better to cut or write more content. If you want to start with some numbers, aim to have a total of approximately 600 words, plus or minus 100, with Times New Roman, font size 10. The optimal bullet length is roughly 1.5 lines. Anything more than 3 lines is overkill and probably no screener will read. Less than 1 line usually means not enough content. Each position should have roughly 2 to 4 bullets. More important jobs should come with more bullets, of course. Please see a link in the description to download the official standard template accepted at McKinsey, Bain, and BCG completely for free. Heat map. Here's the fun part. When screening resumes, do screeners look at everything equally? No. There are typically a few more important areas. I interviewed dozens of resume screeners across McKinsey, Bain, and BCG offices and asked them, what do you look at more often in a resume? Amazingly, we all somewhat pointed to similar areas of focus. Let's look at a heat map representing that. A few interesting insights from this consulting resume heat map. There is a big emphasis on GPA. We all know that GPA is not everything, but it's the most convenient number to look at. If you have a good GPA, great. If not, see the description for a free article where I write extensively about this topic. Also, it's interesting that the ACT or any other test number in the education section also gets some attention. Good news for people with a low GPA. Names of schools and companies are important. But here's the hit. The first bullet of the most recent job is by far the most important part of your resume. That's where you should gather your best self and score a home run. Next, we have the second bullet of the most recent job and first bullets of any other job. In my opinion, there are a few other exceptions to what is shown on this heat map. You should already figure these out by understanding the spirit. If you have another job with a well-known firm, chances are that the first bullet of that job gets more attention. If you have a bullet too long or too short, attention flows to somewhere else. If you make some obvious presentation mistakes, so much attention will flow there, unfortunately. The better your resume is, the more time and effort the screener will give to it. So his or her attention will flow downward in this funnel, so your third bullet, your fourth recent job, will get read. Master plan to construct a killer bullet. Each bullet is a building block of a great resume. At the end of the day, there's no escape from that. We need to write exceptional bullets over and over again based on less than perfect experience. So how do we do it? Typically, a great bullet has 3 parts: the work, explanation of the work, and the output. For example, went grocery shopping at the most crowded supermarket, ensuring adequate food supply to the whole family for the next 7 days. For each part, notice the following. The work. Use strong yet simple verbs in present or past tense, depending on the time, of course. Explanation of work. This is not the place for results. It's just an elaboration of the above part, but 3 things you can do to show off your consulting traits here. A. Be very specific as possible. B. Highlight the difficult nature of the work. And C. Create a consulting feel by using consulting wordings and terminology. Last part, the output. This can be either qualitative or quantitative. Just don't forget about this. Now, let's take a look at some serious examples from real resumes so you can get a sense. Managed consulting engagements with P&L responsibilities generating $700K in 2012. Exceeded profitability goal by 8%. A classic bullet with 3 simple yet clean parts. Here is part A. Here's part B with specific quantification of this challenging responsibility, and here's part C with clear results. Classic, but it works. Conducted market research, identified addressable markets, developed market segmentation, and recommended entry strategies resulting in a 97% increase in potential revenues and a 125% increase in valuation. A little more complicated as part A and part B merge all together, but all the ingredients are still there. Qualitatively, the description of this challenging work is specific with some decent consulting words, and nice and direct results in part C. Once you master this, you can be a little more flexible, playing around with the underlying principles and still write good bullets without strictly following the above formula. As long as you have all the ingredients, this shouldn't be a problem. So remember, strong verbs. Specific description of the impressive task using consulting wordings, and nice and realistic results. Final tips. Number 1, keep in mind the master grading system. When writing each bullet, we focus on the micro details, but it pays to zoom out from time to time and evaluate your own resume from the top-down view. Does it show off a well-rounded set of consulting skills and qualifications? Maybe it shows more than enough analytical skills while missing out on the leadership and people part. Each screener has a slightly different version of the grading system, but all the general ideas are pretty much the same. Some screeners do it in their heads, while some others would even put grades on an Excel sheet next to a carefully drafted grading table. Over the years, I have talked to many screeners and accumulated everything into a magic resume grading sheet. This is like the average grading sheet that a normal and typical screener will use, either implicitly or explicitly. See this in the Resume Toolkit program. Number 2, don't fall for those consulting jargons you found online. As I mentioned earlier about using consulting wording, I want to give a word of caution. Be careful that there is a world of difference between the actual content and the professional wording we use in consulting's official end product documents versus the verbal jargon floating around online. Saying words like boil the ocean or on the beach won't help you score any points. In fact, you even put yourself at risk for being unprofessional. Use real words. It's not on the internet. It's only on our website. You can download it for free from the link in the description. Number 3, double check, triple check, quadruple check. As humans, we make mistakes very often. The only way to combat this is by checking over and over and over and over and over again in different contexts. Run it through an auto grammar check. Run it through your friends. Print it out. Look at it when you're high. Read it when you're low. Examine it like you're a screener, etc. You'll be amazed by how many details you can pick up. The goal is to make your resume a little better every day. There's always something you can improve. After months or even years of doing it every day, you'll be in a great position. Many readers have been emailing us over and over again asking for our help rewriting their own resumes. I once did it in the past but had to stop because I simply ran out of time and creativity. Nobody in the whole world can devote that much effort and passion for one resume other than yourself. Personally, I am strongly against resume rewriting services unless you're willing to pay huge amounts of money, which is unrealistic for almost everybody, and I don't feel good doing that after all. I think a much better model is that we just put on the screener hat. We'll look at your resume, tell you what our first impressions are, point out the mistakes, run it through the magical grading system, grade it like a real screener, and rank it among all resumes we have, and tell you if yours will likely pass or fail if submitted for real. In short, we streamline our help in the most efficient way so we can help as many of you as we can with the limited time resources that we have. At the end of the day, nobody can replace you as a writer. If you can't write a good resume, you'll hate consulting anyway. But can somebody act like a real screener giving you pointers? Yes. Find out about this on our website. Number 4. Finally, don't forget about the file naming. You will send your resume digitally. Nothing more annoying for the firm than receiving dozens of resume.doc files. Please follow the naming convention widely accepted at consulting. A. Put it in PDF format. B. Start with a date. C. Your name. D. Then resume. So ideally, your file should be something like 2020.3_Donald_Trump_resume.pdf. Alrighty, resume writing is very challenging. Consulting resumes are even more difficult. But following the tips in this video, you'll be in great shape. There are many details and tips here that you may miss on the first watch. So go back, watch it, and edit your resume over and over again until you get to a point you can stop yourself nodding your head at every single tip in this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell as we have so much more coming up shortly. At Management Consulting Prep, we believe everybody, regardless of their background, can write the winning resume of their life. Are you a believer?